Leeds have just lost 2-1 away at Deepdale, Boxing Day game. It was awful. It was really awful to watch. I hated it. It was such a boring, horrible game. They came to just spoil it, and I don't mean spoil it as in, oh, they came to ruin the game. No, they came to spoil the way that Leeds wanted to play, because that's exactly what their game plan was, and you can say it worked. It was horrible to watch. Every time that Leeds tried to hold the ball up, they were just getting lumps kicked out of them. The referee just never made any decisions to stop them, really. If they'd have given them more yellow cards earlier on, they would have thought twice about it, and maybe one of their players would have got sent off, which Brown certainly should have been at the end, because he was already in a yellow card and then flew into a tackle, so he should have been off. But yeah, refereeing was awful, I thought. He really didn't have a good game. There were so many chances where he should have given them a yellow card and didn't, and it just encouraged them to carry on playing that way. And also, when Meslier got sent off, we'll talk about that now, but yes, Meslier should never have pushed somebody in the face like that. But when somebody comes in and full-on two-handed shoves you in the face like that, I know this is ridiculous because I'm wearing a Christmas jumper and I'm angry, but he comes in two-handed, shoves the Meslier in the face. What's Meslier, not in the face, sorry, in the chest, and pushes him. And what's Meslier meant to do other than be like, get away from me, what are you doing? And obviously he's ended up pushing him in the head. Flat palm, not a punch or anything like that, just a push like that. And the player's just gone, ooh, dived on the floor and cried. And he got a yellow card and Meslier got a straight red, which meant that when Darlow then came on, he wasn't really ready and wasn't expecting to have to come on. I don't think either of the goals Darlow could have saved, by the way. Let's just be honest with that. I think a few people in my chat were saying that Meslier would have saved them, or that Darlow could have done better. I don't think so. I think both of them were right in the corner. So I don't think there's ever any way he's going to save them. But overall, I just thought it was an awful game to watch. Preston came to spoil it in the most complimentary way possible. They had their game plan and they did it how they wanted to. Leeds couldn't play their game, and that's what we're going to talk about now, because having said all that, there was these conditions. They were playing a certain way against us. They were kicking lumps out of us. There was the referee. There was all these decisions that went against us. Okay, take that to one side, because that's only a small portion of what went wrong. The main thing for me is that Daniel FARKE doesn't want to adapt to the team that he's playing against. So what I mean by that is we'll play against Ipswich with this exact same 11 and we'll win 4-0. And that's because Ipswich are a side who come out, they attack you and they leave space to be counter-attacked. Preston were never going to do that. So you have to play a different way against that sort of team. You have to. And played the exact same 11 and tried to play in the exact same way. You have to be adaptable. You have to be malleable, and you have to be able to play against a different type of team in a different type of way. When you looked at it early on, Preston had 3 in defence, and a lot of the time they actually had 5 in midfield and just 2 up top. So they just packed out the midfield so much that we were never ever going to be able to play through them. They didn't try to press us too high. They just tried to keep a mid block, keep 3 at the back, and then 5 in midfield and 2 up top. And then sometimes it would go 3 up top when they were on the attack, and Miller would break into that forward line. And to be honest, Miller was the difference maker today. Liam Miller, the Canadian winger for Preston, he was the difference maker. His shot that curled into the top corner won the game. And overall, he had Archie Gray on toast. He really did. At some point, we've got to see Jed Spence at right back and Sam Byram at left back, and that's got to be soon when Sam Byram's as fit as he can be. That's got to be soon. I think Archie needs a rest. I think sit him on the bench for a little bit or put him on for Kamara. But the thing is, you look at that game and you go, okay, well, hold on a sec. They are packing out this midfield. So maybe you've got 2 options. If a team's doing this, you've got 2 options. You either combat that by putting more players in midfield. So you take Archie from right back and you put him as a central midfielder and put him in there as well, and then you go 3 at the back, much what they did, and you go toe for toe with them like that. Or you try to bypass the midfield entirely. So because they've got 3 at the back, you stretch your wingers high and wide, and you try to play the ball over the top, down the channels to them, to try and get their midfield turning and going back on themselves. And then maybe at some point, their manager thinks, maybe we need to go 4 at the back and less in midfield because they're not even coming through midfield. But we didn't try anything different. I get that a manager has his philosophies in a way that he wants to play, but I don't think that you can be wedded to that to the point where you won't change it at all for any team, any time. And this is probably the issue that Norwich had, especially when they got promoted. And I'm not even talking about promotion, but I just mean the fact that when you play against different types of teams, you've got to play a different type of way with the players that you've got and the players that you're up against. And FARKE doesn't seem to be willing to do that. Now, I think FARKE is a very good manager, and we have to caveat all this by saying that in any other season, we would have had the top or second spot in the division at this point because of the points total that we're on. But because of Ipswich and Leicester having this record-breaking season, it's not happening for us, and it can look much worse than it is. But at the point in time that we are, we have to take it relative to what's happening this season and not what's happening in previous seasons. And we can't keep up because we aren't willing to adapt to play against different teams in a different way. The way that Ipswich is so far up the table, the reason for that is because most teams aren't as good as us, so they're able to play their style against most teams, whereas we're able to play our style against the teams who come out and attack us, which is actually less teams than the teams that sit back and defend, if you get what I mean. There's more teams that will sit back and defend against us than there are the ones that will come out and try and play. So we win the games like Ipswich and like Leicester, where they think they're as good as us and they think they can go toe-to-toe with us, and that's when they think that's when Leeds play the best, and that's when Leeds go and get wins. But a lot of the time, teams will sit in, and then we don't have an answer for it. For me, we have to go out in January and get a left back and a number 10. We have to. There's no other choice, because if Byram's not fit, he plays Spence at left back, Archie at right back. Now, I'm not one to just criticise Archie because I think he's been brilliant this season, but today I think he really struggled, and I think he's really struggled in previous weeks against wingers. But I don't think it's his fault. He's not a right back. Yes, he's played there for England, under 20s, under 18s and stuff, but it's not his role. He's a central midfielder by trade, and he needs to be played in the central midfield. So really, if we get a left back, it allows Byram that little bit of respite in the fact that he doesn't have to play every game. We get a left back, and then we put Jed Spence at right back in his ideal position. Fast, he's faster than Archie Gray. He's better at defending up against those wingers. He'll do a better job in there, and then we look a lot more solid. Then you get a number 10, somebody who can pick the ball up in those positions in the midfield. And the person who could get a team like Preston turning, because if the ball gets played into his feet and he looks up and Preston players are behind him trying to chase him down, that's when we can go and with their passing ability of a proper number 10, that's when we should be able to hurt teams in games like this. So for me, we need recruitment, we need less stubbornness, we need earlier substitutions, we need to play different players in different games. So I think Nonto should have started this game, I really do. I think Dan James maybe should have come off the bench. Yes, he won the penalty later on, Dan James, but I do think that Nonto should have started this one. I'm not going to go through all the players, but like I say, I don't think Archie had the best game, but in certain times I still think he did well. I think the Meslier thing, I think we're going to see a lot of overreaction to it. Hopefully it's people defending him, actually. Hopefully there's a lot of people defending him, because can you imagine if someone comes up to you and just shoves you that hard in the chest? You're going to react, aren't you? It's hard not to in that moment. So I feel a bit of sympathy for Meslier. Hopefully it gets overturned, because the player that just completely shoved him in the chest. I don't know if it will, but I think Darlow will be okay for a couple of games. I think he was okay playing out from the back with his feet. I don't think he had any chance with the two that he couldn't get to, the 2 goals. And Strauch as well, let's just talk about the penalty. Dan James did really well to win that penalty. Came inside and just had his toe stepped on, so he just went over. Pascal Strauch dispatched it really, really well. Thought there was a lot of clever play in this game from Dan James, winning free kicks high up the pitch and stuff. There was one late on where he just sort of went straight in front of Brown and got wiped out. Won as a free kick, got us up the pitch. I thought that was really good from him. But yeah, Strauch I thought was excellent again. I love Strauch. I think he played really, really well. Just a shame that we just don't have any answers for a game like this. Very disappointed indeed. But that is going to be it for this match reaction. There's a Dream Team's out tomorrow, so make sure you hit that big red button down below and hit the notification bell as well so you don't miss it. And there's plenty more content on the way. So hopefully Leeds get back to winning ways before too long. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching Leeds Lately, and I'll see you in the next one.